What it do, y'all? We are back for episode 3. This episode was good. This episode is picking it up. It's starting to really pick up now. I feel like we had a lot of good moments in this particular episode. But yeah, we're not going to waste no time. If y'all are new here, please subscribe. Please thumbs up the video. Get in the comments down below. I want to talk to y'all, hear y'all's thoughts. Let's continue to push the video out by thumbsing up, dropping the comments, subscribing, and sharing. Yeah, we're on the road to 10K, so let's go ahead and get on into it because this is a good episode. Let's go. All right, so we get back to everybody pretty much lounging around the house, and we get a scene with Shane and Sylvia. They're talking about her and KellyAnne getting into it, and she's like, I didn't say any nice things to her, but she needed to hear it. Like, she ain't nice either. That's pretty much what Sylvia was saying. And Shane is pretty much talking about how close he is with Sylvia and Ashley. As we know, they're the Lavender Ladies with Amanda, which they formed that alliance on season 29, if I'm remembering correctly, which was Invasion of the Champions a while ago. They're still, all four of them are still tight like this. But Shane ends up pretty much stating to her, like, it's rivals. Essentially, you got to get along with your partner because she's the one that can literally help you get further in the competition. So Sylvia, she's pretty much stating, like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't feel like we're going to get close. And he's pretty much telling her, like, you need to get closer to her. But KellyAnne, we get her, and she's comparing everybody to dogs. She says that Sylvia is like a Doberman because she's mean. And we get KellyAnne talking to Frank. She's pretty much stating, like, I would essentially forgive Sylvia if she's done the work to grow. Me personally, I don't forgive people. This is what she's saying. I don't forgive people unless they show me that they've actually grown, which is true. Like, who the fuck wouldn't? Like, I wouldn't forgive somebody if they say that they're sorry and then turn around and do the same thing. Or try to act like they're doing, or say that they're trying to be better, but they're not, their actions aren't speaking for it. So I get where she's coming from. But she's pretty much stating, like, I'm focused on the challenges. Sylvia's not. Frank is sitting there feeding her bullshit, saying, we want y'all around. Like, it would be great for y'all to still get along. Meanwhile, he's in his confessional saying, I don't give a fuck about them. Like, it's strategy. I'm just playing the game right now. Essentially, I want to manipulate these people into thinking that I really care about them and want them here. But all the while, I'm going to be ready to throw them in when it's time to throw them in. Frank is needed for this show. Frank has been a lot of the entertainment so far. And when I say entertainment, like the way he's been like slyly moving behind the scenes, we need that shit on the main show. If Frank was on the main show, I probably would finish a full season. Like, honestly, Frank is entertaining. But we get a scene of Sam and Aneesa. They're pretty much relating on the fact that they're not physically fit. And I don't want to put that because they're not. But they're talking about how they're still in shape and how they can do it and whatnot. And Aneesa pretty much tells her, like, well, she's pretty much saying, like, I want to pretty much be there for her because I'm not the ideal size and I want her to feel good about herself and feel good in her body. And it's good to have representation of all types. And she's pretty much telling her, like, joke about it first so nobody else can really get the upper hand with the fat jokes and whatever. But my thing is, too, she's got a point, but there's also, in their situation, you can tell it's not, the point that she's making does not apply to them. Like, you can be bigger boned and bigger and still be healthy. Like, there's people that are, I don't want to say huge, but are big and weigh a lot, but they're still healthy. There's a healthy weight size, essentially, your BMI, but Aneesa's not healthy, and that's clear as day because she's always getting injured. That comes from just pressure on your body, pressure on your bones, which has to do with your weight, like your intake. You need to get better with your diet, but also you need to get better with your activity. Like, you need to work out a lot more. It seems like she's only working out when she comes on the show or when she's coming to the show, which we'll get to later on. But you have to consistently be working out. And with her being so injury prone, if she's not working out, which is strengthening her bones, she's going to continue to always be injured. But that's essentially what she's doing. I get what she's trying to do, but that's just my 2 cents on it. But they bond on that. We find out that Adam is sick. He has a 100-degree fever, and Steve is concerned, obviously. But it's time for the challenge. TJ lets them know that all the star holders, they still have their stars, so they're still qualified to run the final. Pretty much letting them know you win the challenge, you can determine who goes into the jungle. So the game that they're playing today, or the mission that they're playing today, is called Ball Buster. They have to jump in a pit, grab as many balls that are matching their team color, get those balls through an obstacle course after retrieving 10 balls. They have to then solve a puzzle, and the first team to finish wins. And if you don't have a star, you get the opportunity to possibly send yourself in to go get one if you choose to do so. But they begin. We got Devin and Shane trying to get on the same page because they essentially know, like, if we stay on the same page, we work well together, we can end up in that final, which is true. But Devin, he's talking about how Leroy is always the bridesmaid and never the bride. But he, talking about Devin, is always the bride. I'm like, you only won one time and you've played about probably 10 challenges. So 1 out of 10, that's not a good ratio for you either. Granted, Leroy definitely is always a bridesmaid, but you ain't no better. You just won one time. But we see Melissa and Nicole, they're having trouble communicating, obviously, because of the accents, both of their accents. But Sam is actually working hard. Like, she's putting in the work. Frank is proud and very impressed. We'll get to it in a minute. But Aneesa, we get to her because there's a certain point in this challenge where they have to climb up a cargo net. And she's nervous, obviously, because the last time she did anything climbing, she ended up dislocating her shoulder, which was on season 37, I think. And we on what? All-Stars 5, which, regardless, that was a while ago. So, Ashley, I already knew this is where it was going to go. But she ends up saying, this is Aneesa's best shot at winning. Pretty much saying, you have me, this is your best shot at winning. You better get your ass up this damn net. She said, because I'm not trying to sit up here and wait all day. But we also see a glimpse of Sylvia and KellyAnne. They're working well together finally. Shane and Devin are as well. But Ashley, she's trying to be patient. She's been sitting up there at the top of that cargo net, waiting on Aneesa. She's catching all the balls and stuff. But she's sitting up there trying to be patient. But we also see Sam down there. She's now getting winded. Like, she was working well at the beginning, but that endurance is not there, which is why you need to be on the treadmill. Her and Aneesa. We'll get to it in a minute. But the endurance wasn't working for her. Devin and Leroy, they're in the lead at this point. They're the first ones to the puzzle. Amber and Fessy are right behind them. No shock there. But it's a puzzle. So I'm like, okay, you got Amber and Fessy, who are not the brightest here, versus Leroy and Devin. Leroy, I wouldn't say Leroy's not the brightest, but he's probably the weaker one in their team pair when it comes to puzzles. Devin is smart. I don't like Devin, but he is. But Leroy been working on puzzles, and he proved it because they won. They won. I was shocked. I'm like, damn, Leroy done won 2. He done got in the top 3. He got in the top 4 the first challenge, which is how they got their star. And now they win in the mission. I said, oh, Leroy, this is interesting. But Frank does not want to get voted in because he knows if they get voted in, they're going home. He said, there's no way we're winning elimination. We're talking about with Sam, obviously. But Leroy and Devin, they're safe. Their star is safe. Everybody else is on the chopping block. We already know how the drill is. Leroy and Devin will nominate a team that will go against the house vote. So they get back to the house. Adam is even more sick. They show a shot of his bed, I guess where he was laying in. Sweat all over the sheets. Like, he is sick. And he's having trouble breathing and everything. But at this point, he's nervous because he thinks they're going to be going in because they're a high target. For sure now. Like, you already got a star. The best way to beat y'all is when y'all are weak. And one of y'all is weak. So he's like, we need to try and figure out a strategy. And him and Steve are sitting there talking. And he's hoping that they can get away with it because he's sick. And I'm like, hell no. If it was me, you going in there. You going in there. Y'all got to the finals in All-Star 4. And I think one of them won. I didn't finish it, but I think one of them... Did they win? No, I think Laura won. Was it All-Stars 4? Regardless, they got one... I think they both got to the final at one point. Regardless, they got far in the competition. You're now sitting here with a star. You won the first challenge. You still got your star. You just sent home a team last week. You're going in. You're sick. Like, one of y'all is sick. That makes it an easier chance to beat y'all. So, yeah, y'all would be going in. But KellyAnne and Sylvia, they're sitting down to talk out their issues. And I was shocked because they both took accountability for where they were wrong. KellyAnne says, I feel exhausted. It's not about you, but it might just be a lot of my insecurities. Sylvia says, on the outside, it doesn't seem like you have any, but that might be where we have similarities because I got them too. So they're pretty much talking out their issues and stuff. Sylvia says sometimes... KellyAnne makes her feel like she's belittling her when she talks to her, and KellyAnne says, like, sometimes I'm envious of the way that you handle things. I just want you to know I don't look at you as anything less than an equal. Sylvia apologizes to her for being mean. Good for them. But Aneesa, she's talking about how because she's laying on the couch, she has her confessional. She's talking about how she works out in the off season, but when she comes on the show, she plays a more relaxed social game. I said, now that's where you go wrong. If your social game, which has been proven to be true. Her social game is her strong point. That's what gets her pretty decently far in the competition. If that is your strong point, why would you not focus on your weakness while you're on the show? Yes, you can put in that work leading up to it, but you still have to compete. And when it comes to competing, you still need to keep up that training. Because if you're not training while you're on the show, you're not going to continue to have the strength and endurance that you once did. You got to do it the whole time. So she's sitting there laying on the couch, and Ashley is in the other room with a couple of the other people pissed the fuck off. Rightfully so. I'd be mad as hell too. But she is mad because Aneesa's not working out. She said she's sitting over there sitting on the couch trying to make friends because he pretty much saying like she ain't doing shit. Like she's not working out. She knows she needs to work out. That's pretty much what she's saying. And she said it's not making it better for us as a team because you're sitting there laying on the couch trying to make friends when you need to be on the treadmill. That's essentially what she's saying. It's true. It's true. But Ashley's pretty much telling them, I'd rather have no friends and win $1 million. I'm right there with you. Fuck the friends. Granted, you need to have numbers. But if I know I can beat everybody in that house, especially when it comes to a final, I'm right there with you, Ashley. I'm right there with you. But Ashley said one thing Aneesa is known for is not winning. So she needs to get in there and get to working out. But we get to the house vote. And TJ ends up asking if anybody has anything to say. And Adam pipes up and starts talking about his illness and whatever. And basically trying to get a freebie. And ask if anybody wants to step up for them. Veronica's sitting there like, why the fuck would anybody do that? And she's cringing because she's like, it's the best way for people to get rid of you because you're now voicing to everybody that you're sick, even though we already knew that. But if we didn't, now we're really going to throw you in because that's the easiest way to beat you and you have a star. But Turbo and Nany, they start off the vote, and who are they voting for? Adam and Steve. It starts a chain effect just going. Everybody voting for Adam and Steve. Steve and Adam vote for Frank and Sam yet again. Veronica, which is setting up I already see this coming. That's coming soon. But Veronica and Katie, they voted in Big T and Corey again because obviously Katie don't want to vote in Steve and Adam because they're friends. Veronica, I agree. She probably wouldn't too, but Veronica just pretty much saved her ass by saying, I'm just going to go with my partner once. But Corey is sitting there saying to Katie that just say you want to vote. You just want to say my name again. Corey, you're not that important to her. I guarantee you're not. She's doing what she should be doing. Why would I say somebody else's name and put a target on me and make another enemy? If I already made an enemy out of you, I'm going to continue to say your name until you go home. Like, Katie was not wrong for that. But Katie said, I'm expecting you to do the same thing. But Nicole and Melissa, they vote for Adam and Steve as well. I'm like, Nicole, ain't that your friend? Like, I was shocked because episode 1, she was sitting there saying she wasn't voting for Steve and Adam. But here you are voting for him. So I'm like, okay, interesting. But KellyAnne, she gets emotional, which I didn't see any tears coming down. But her voice was shaking a little bit. Talking about voting in Steve and Adam. And Frank sitting there talking shit about it in the confessionals. But Adam and Steve, they're headed into the jungle. They got the most votes. Leroy and Devin now have to figure out who they're going to put in against them. So we get a scene where Devin and Leroy are sitting there with Adam and Steve. And Devin's pretty much telling them, we're not trying to send in star holders to kind of start and set a precedent. Like, if we are star holders that win the challenge, we have to vote in star holders to get another star holder out. We're not going to start that. That's pretty much what he's telling them. And Adam pretty much says, like, I already told you who I want. Like, I already said the name, Frank and Sam. That's who I would want to go against. And Devin is saying, like, me and Leroy, he's saying this in his confessional, me and Leroy need to kind of leverage it to set us up long term to do the best thing that's for our game, which is to send in the right team that will lose. Pretty much saying, we send in this team, we're putting blood on our hands, essentially. So the team that we send in, they have to go home. So we got to do that, but we also have to gain favors from everybody else's safe that we don't say their name. So basically, we're going to send in somebody, but everybody else got to have a deal. Like, we got to have a deal going with that person. So I'm like, yeah, that's smart. But we get to the elimination time, and Leroy and Devin, they ended up voting in KellyAnne and Sylvia. I was like, what? Interesting. I didn't see them. I mean, on paper, it shouldn't be shocking. But I wasn't expecting them to say that name. I thought they would have said Frank and Sam because Adam and Steve said that. And then Frank and Sam don't have a star. And if you're looking at people that would lose, which is the people that you would say, Frank and Sam probably would lose up against Adam and Steve. Because Adam and Steve are strong. Frank is strong. If it was Frank by himself, he probably would beat both of them. but he's got Sam. So I would be thinking, okay, that's the easy way to get Frank out of here. But we see a flashback of Frank infiltrating the move to get KellyAnne and Sylvia down there, and it worked. It worked. Frank was like, I know how to manipulate egos, and Leroy and Devin both have egos, and they have a lot of it. Devin more so than Leroy, but they pilot on. That's the name of it. That's the name of the elimination. It's called Pilot On. They got these giant spools with a bunch of rope, and there's 2 puzzles that they have to solve. Each team has to solve a puzzle. The spool will start unraveling, and they have to solve the puzzle as fast as they can, because then they'll have to pick up the ropes, and they have to hold the ropes for 5 minutes straight. You got to hold it for 5 minutes straight. If the rope hits the ground, the 5 minutes start over. The first pair that finishes holding their ropes for 5 minutes, they win. So they begin. Essentially, they was 1 minute apart from each other. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, KellyAnne and Sylvia, they dropped theirs at one point, but they had to start over. But they were 1 minute apart from each other. Adam and Steve obviously ended up winning. KellyAnne and Sylvia, they were working well together. Like, you could tell they kind of were working good together. So they finally were on the right page. It was just at the wrong time. But Adam and Steve, they won, which is furthermore the reason to continue to throw them in, because they won 2 eliminations, and they just won with Adam, who was sick as a dog. You gotta go. Like, I would be ready to get them out of here. But they head back to the house. Sylvia and KellyAnne, they're packing their shit together. They're both shocked how well they work together and how they're leaving in a good space instead of being rivals. But we get the final scene. I was waiting on it. I'm like, don't tell me they cut this out. But Aneesa, she's sitting there asking Ashley what kind of wine she wants with a good group of people in the house. Like, trying to make light and stuff, but she starts talking in a country accent. Ashley's irritated by it. And I feel like Ashley, she was upset about something else. This just gave her the reason and the green light to just light Aneesa up. But she's irritated, said, like, I'm from the suburbs, like, this redneck shit, like, I'm not with it. Like, she ain't with the country accent shit. And Aneesa's like, I love your country accent. Everybody's on edge because Ashley snapped. And that energy is just like, it's negative energy all around. And Aneesa's looking confused, like, what did I do wrong? But Ashley, she's in the other room venting while Aneesa's sitting in there talking with them. But Aneesa ends up coming into the room where Ashley was and starts apologizing and says, if I say anything that offends you, just check me in a moment. Ashley said, I just did. Aneesa then says, like, I thought it was a safe space because you be joking about yourself all the time too. I was like, I mean, I get what Aneesa was doing was harmless. Completely harmless. But y'all are not friends. So you can't joke about somebody that you're not friends with. Granted, y'all might be seemingly working copacetically as a team, but y'all are not friends. So you can't joke about her when you're not friends. Like, certain things, granted, she might be joking. And you just said it earlier to Sam, like, take the things that people would joke about you with and take it in ownership to soften the blow. So why would you then turn around and do that knowing that that's what essentially Ashley does? She's joking about herself to kind of be a defense mechanism. So then you do it knowing that you're not friends with her. But I'm like, that's weird. But Ashley started hollering, going off, saying, I don't joke about you and your body. I said, that was a shot. She said, your history, that was a shot as well, talking about your history on the show. You don't win shit. You always go home. You always getting injured. She said, where you're from, anything personal about you, so it doesn't make sense. And she was right. It don't make sense. So why would you start? I don't get it. But Aneesa ends up saying that I thought it was a safe space to joke with you because you joke about yourself. Again, y'all are not friends. I don't know how you thought that was a safe space. But Aneesa starts getting emotional a little bit and says, that wasn't my intention. I'm sorry. I don't think that her intention was bad. It wasn't. But you're just not friends with her, so it just doesn't make sense for you to do it. If you were her friend, that'd be one thing. But come on. And she don't fuck with you like that, and you should know that. Self-awareness, body language, like, I'd have been able to, if I was Aneesa, I'd been able to pick up on Ashley not really fucking with me like that. You could tell Ashley was getting more and more irritated with her as the episode went on. So it's like, pick up on them cues. But she ends up apologizing and everything, and Ashley shakes her head like, okay, and then she says, I need more wine. She gets up, and she's out there with Bessie, pretty much telling him, like, look, I ain't come here to win fourth. I came here to win. I come here to win. I do this. And she said, I'm not a pick-me girl like her. She don't fuck with Aneesa. And she's not lying in this instant. Aneesa is a pygmy. Like, she likes to always be around certain people. She wants everybody to be her friend, which is pygmy behavior. Ashley, I will say, Ashley is real. Ashley gonna keep it real with you. If she don't fuck with you, she don't fuck with you. She's not gonna try and be friends with everybody, which is why I respect Ashley. But she ends up saying that, and then Fessy's like, so who's the pygmy girl? And she said, my partner. And Fessy's like, y'all essentially need each other. He's pretty much trying to like talk her off a ledge, like, you need her in this game. Granted, you don't like her, but you need her. Fessy, you better than me. That's a millionaire. She don't win this game twice. I'd have been like, yeah, fuck her. Like, yeah, fuck her. Keep the dissension so they can go home. But Fessy's trying to do that. He's like, are you gonna self implode? And Ashley cracked me up. She said, I don't have to lose the challenge because she's gonna do it for me. And the funny thing was, Aneesa was walking out and she's waving. I'm like, did she hear her? But regardless if she did, Ashley probably would have stood on it. But Fessy ends up saying they're an atomic bomb waiting to happen. And it's the truth. It's the truth. But next week, they didn't show too much of anything talking worthy. So we'll see what happens next week. But if y'all got this far and have not already, please leave me a thumbs up. Get in the comments down below. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on the episode. What y'all think about everything that happened. And I will see y'all next week. Peace.